Although the penultimate episode of Young Sheldon was undoubtedly the most ambitious episode of the spin-off, The Big Bang Theory, its experimental manner served to highlight a heartbreaking character element. In general, formal experimentation did not pique young Sheldon's curiosity. Certain sitcoms such as 30 Rock and Community are full of meta jokes that play with established television norms, lean on the fourth wall, and violate audience expectations. On the other hand, young Sheldon's ensemble of characters was mostly responsible for the show's humor, and in general, the series followed the formula of a conventional single-camera family sitcom. An elderly character who was hilariously brash and loud, a troubled but loving family, and an adult narrator reminiscing about their early years were all there. The Wonder Years, Everybody Hates Chris, and Malcolm in the Middle had familiarized audiences to young Sheldon's unique and entertaining storylines, but they still follow the same format. However, by manipulating the show's format, the Young Sheldon series finale defied expectations. The narrator of the program was first shown as an on-screen character in the last episode, Season 7, Episode 14, Memoir. Although the previous episode was the one that challenged young Sheldon's limits and revealed the spin-off's unexpected ambition, the funeral for Sheldon's father, George S.R., was the subject of the penultimate episode of Young Sheldon, Funeral. The whole Cooper family was affected by the incident, but Funeral was especially interested in Sheldon's inner healing process. The show's eponymous character, Sheldon, struggled greatly with reality, as demonstrated by the fact that he spent the whole episode mentally reliving his parting chat with his father. For a rather traditional series, this was an unusually bold and hazardous storytelling gamble, but it paid out in a plot that may even surpass young Sheldon's finest episode in terms of tragic storytelling. Though it was surreal by young Sheldon's standards, seeing Ian Armitage's Sheldon and Lance Barber's George S.R. go through several versions of the same incident was an excellent representation of Sheldon's particular pain. The main character's predicament got more terrible and poignant every time young Sheldon cut back to his mourning family, who were getting more and more irritated with him for looking into space. Young Sheldon danced about for years after Funeral revealed something that the Big Bang Theory refused to acknowledge. To be more precise, Sheldon is a person who can't help but perceive the world in a different way. He isn't a careless or uncaring person. Sheldon got caught up in imagining other conclusions for their chat since he couldn't accept that their previous meeting had been a polite exchange of niceties. The resolution of young Sheldon deepened the sadness in Sheldon's character arc by demonstrating that a large portion of the character's purported haughtiness stemmed from a desire to maintain control over his environment and a feeling of order in his universe. Watching Funeral saw young Sheldon let people to witness how his perspective on the world affected his relationships with friends and family. It was an unexpectedly moving experience. Sheldon's distinct grieving caused him to become estranged from his sister Missy, as he appeared preoccupied with his recurring thoughts throughout the arrangements for George S.R.'s burial. Similar to how Missy felt his memory was being disrespected at young Sheldon's George S.R. burial due to her incapacity to comprehend the jokes. His failure to comprehend the sentimental importance of his father's vacant chair resulted in awkward and heated confrontations with Georgie. Sheldon became more empathetic than previously as a result of his battles with recurring ideas. They demonstrated that the protagonist of the Big Bang Theory wasn't purposefully being stubborn. Rather, he was only attempting to make sense of the universe. The Big Bang Theory handled Sheldon's conceit as if it were a simple character trait, even though it was undoubtedly his fault. From the events of Funeral, it appeared that he was actually unable to perceive things from a different perspective. It was a painful reminder that he had difficulty accepting reality when it did not live up to his expectations when he saw him fight to accept his final talk with his father. After years of effort in abstract academics caused the theoretical physicist to have a breakdown and experience a period of mental illness. Meemaw and Sturgis's young Sheldon connection touched on similar topics. It is difficult to conclude Funeral without thinking that Sheldon was misled in one way or another in both episodes. Sheldon's demanding demeanor was typically viewed as a weakness, and the reason his touching Nobel Prize acceptance speech touched people so greatly was because it showed how much he appreciated his friends and family. Funeral, however, demonstrated that Sheldon's behavior wasn't the product of small-mindedness or self-aggrandizement by citing a formative tragedy. These were contributing elements, but his inability to accept a chaotic, disorganized environment that would likely shatter his heart at any time was the main reason. Sheldon's efforts to rewrite his previous exchange with George S.R. reflected his difficulty to let go of a minor insult and his belief that seemingly random objects, like his spot, needed to be protected. Though it didn't explain every aspect of the Cooper family's future, Young Sheldon's series finale provided a significant explanation for Sheldon's actions in both episodes. In Funeral, Sheldon was revealed to be a regular child attempting to make sense of a tragedy using the resources at his disposal, as opposed to his prior portrayal as a charmingly irritating academic with grandiose illusions. Sheldon is frequently described using euphemistic language. Penny likens him to a toddler. His mother lavishes affection on him, and his pals rationalize his actions. This is justified by Funeral, which offers viewers a deeper understanding of Sheldon's inner world than they have previously had. He wasn't a callous, heartless person. Rather, he was just unable to express his feelings to the rest of his family in the same way as they were. Despite the fact that he was as touched by his father's passing, it was difficult to feel sorry for the Big Bang Theory's misguided antihero when one saw young Sheldon's hero sitting aimlessly among his distraught family.